Chan, look, aggression and...
Yeah, anger and aggression.
Aggression.
Yeah. Look, that's what the note that you sent to me said, come on, let's start talking about this. And first of all, let's acknowledge the courage for you both to say this is important and we're not going to hide it in a corner. Because it's a shameful thing. It's a very difficult thing for any of us to look at our communities and our families and the people we love and to be honest about the fact that this is happening. Yeah? I mean, you just said, seriously, up to all the families that are still loving each other and enjoying their time together. But let's not be foolish, yeah? I can tell you, even in my house in the last few days, there have been some quite interesting flashpoints, right? So it happens to all of us, yeah? So first of all, I'm just going to give you literally my professional learning. I mean, again, as you know, I used to work in prisons. I used to work with people who had, predominantly most of the people in my care had anger management issues of some kind. Yeah, not everybody, but predominantly. It was a very serious issue on a daily basis that you have to manage when you're in confinement. Yeah, whether that's a prison or your own house. Okay, so look, I'm literally going to go through the ABC. Okay, so the first thing that you need to understand is that everybody has a dark side, right? And we all have the potential to lose our temper and to go into anger. And usually anger, the spark that starts it is actually fear, yeah? And when we're frightened and it just gets louder and nastier and it's about defending ourselves or it's about your need to be right in that particular situation, yeah? And what happens is, as the barometer of our anger goes higher, the less our ability to actually think and process, which is why the angrier we get, the more dangerous we become, yeah? Because the anger way outlays the ability to think about what you're saying and what you're doing. So basic techniques here, right? And we can all use it, whether it's the kids irritating us or that you are literally in a dangerous situation and you are the person that is displaying that anger, okay? Because again, I make no apologies. I don't care who's listening to this. You have the ability to be self-responsible. You need to be responsible for who and what you are when you become challenged to the point where you lean over towards the dark side of your behaviour. Okay, so let's start with the basics. The basics are that you literally count backwards, okay? Whether that's 10 to 1, 50 to 1 or 100 to 1, depending on exactly where you are on that scale. But you literally just count backwards. Counting backwards from 10 to 1, there is research that will show you that can lessen the damage that you do, both whether it's physically or emotionally, significantly. If before you carry on in that space, you count backwards. So that is absolutely, it's proven, it's researched, it works. Doesn't matter how simple it sounds, it works. The next thing to do is to control your breathing. That is the first way that you can dial. You have self-management over dialing where you are on that anger. You breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and you do that 20 times. And as long as you're constantly thinking about the flow of air and not the thoughts of why I'm angry, that will basically turn it down, well, phenomenally, because you're telling your body and your mind, it's okay, I'm safe, I'm standing still, I'm in control. Yeah, and that's literally what breathing does. The third thing to do is to immediately get out of that situation and go for a walk. Give yourself time out, yes? And that's about self-regulating and self-managing. If you've started to count, you've started to breathe, and you still know, I'm not safe here, right? So that could be, the truth is there are times when I had kids when they were small, when I was, there was a reason why they called me shouting on me. Because I verbally get very angry, yeah? So if you're a mom or a dad or the main carer and you're standing there and you're thinking, I am about to seriously lose it, right? You are better off leaving the house for a minute, 2 minutes and walking around the garden, walking to the end of the path, right? It's perfectly okay to do that. Nothing dreadful is going to happen to those kids in 2 minutes. If you stay there, you're not going to be responsible for what's going to happen in that 2 minutes. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, yeah, that you have to make yourself responsible because you are in charge of children or you're in charge of keeping people safe. So you go for a walk. Now, there is a technique that when you're going for a walk, if you're able to take, 10, 15 minutes out, then as you go for that walk, from the minute you leave the gate, start doing that counting again and count down from 100 and keep doing it. Don't let any other thought come into your mind other than those numbers, those numbers, those numbers. Those are what you do in crisis, okay? And they work. I know they sound simple, but I promise you they will work. The next place I would go to is music. And that should be music to your ears, gentlemen, because I know that is your passion and your language of love. Music has a phenomenal effect on our emotional selves. And if you know you're inclined to a temper and to lose and be angry and aggressive, if you know that is you, and let's be honest, we all know that we have the propensity and what the situations are to make that, what I suggest you do is you now start preparing a playlist. A playlist that is happy memories, that are positive, that you listen to that song and it makes you in a good headspace. Stuff that's inspiring. And it's your go-to place. It's your safe place to help manage your mind. Yeah? And everybody's will be different and it could be perfectly, very personalised. But that also will give you an extremely powerful tool to protect yourself, because music has a profound effect on our emotional selves. Okay, then moving on. Okay, this one's tough, but this one is the real deal.
Okay.
Stop talking. If you know you are in that space, that you're raving, you're shouting, you're bullying, you're actually feeding yourself to work yourself up to a frenzy, the most important thing is to stop talking, stop the destruction, stop the damage. Yeah? That doesn't mean that suddenly when you stop using your mouth and glue it together with super glue, metaphorically speaking, right, that the thoughts are going to go away. So what you can do with those thoughts is you can write them down. And if you're not the kind of person that can pick up a pen and write down, then find a quiet corner, go in the garage, go in the garden somewhere, and talk into your telephone and record yourself. The things that you want to say to that person or those people that you know has crossed the line, that you are being aggressive, you're shouting, you're bullying, you're intimidating. All of those things that you think you need to say them into a tape outside the house. Now, before we finish this conversation today, I can't go off the air without saying one absolute truth, okay? If you are in danger, you need to dig very, very deep and do something about it. Do not lower the bar to your fundamental safety and that of your children. And violence is as real when it's emotional as it is physical, yes? And there are amazing human beings out there. There are exactly the agencies that you've discussed, right, who are there to help you, yes? I'm actually doing some work with some companies in a very different area to see if we can start raising some serious funds, because these organisations are under immense pressure. And I personally don't think there is anything more important to me at the moment is to keep people safe in their own homes, yeah? So again, offline, gentlemen, let's start having a chat about how we can start supporting these organisations. But please hear me loud and clear. If you are unsafe and you are frightened, pick up the phone, start putting a plan together, get out and do something about it. You do not stay there and put yourself and your children at risk. One of the things, Murdoch, that I learned in my career was that, when you work in a prison environment, you do see a lot of anger and you do see violence. Anybody that's ever been in those environments knows that is the fundamental part of the culture. And I remember when I started, I was quite frightened, yeah? I'm a human being like all of us. I don't want to see that. I don't want to be part of that. How am I going to manage it? And a very, very, very wise psychiatrist, actually, sat me down and explained to me that in his view, most of the anger and aggression comes from fear. And I created that as a mantra. And when I had to work with people and be involved with people literally on a face-to-face way when they were in a really, really out-of-control state, that was a mantra I used to repeat to myself all the time. It's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of fear, yeah? So what that did was keep me safe so I didn't accelerate it, yes? I was able to look at it to the lens of empathy, or the values that we've been talking about, yeah? And that kept me safe from being drawn into it, yeah? It gave me a step away to, okay, they're frightened. What is it that they're frightened of? How can I talk that down? What is it? What is it? Yeah. And again, congratulations, gentlemen, for having the courage to speak about it, yeah? Because again, it's one of those things that people brush into the corner because it's really too hard to get your head around. But it's about the care and protection of everybody, yeah? And there's no judgment. There's no judgment here, right? Because very few people really and truly premeditatedly want to hurt people in any way, shape or form. It's usually because they're frightened. And as you say, people are losing jobs, people have got money pressures, and it is that what next? How am I ever going to get back to where I was when all of this has changed? And it's all of those trigger points.
Yeah.
Okay, off you go.
Thank
See
you.
Tomorrow. Keep safe.